Do I like boobs? Yeah, for sure. They're definitely they definitely do something.
Let me tell you how I've been playing this mobile game
Oh my god.
that's centered around boobs.
Okay, all right.
A good friend of mine got me into this. He like an old man with the white van and candy. He lured me into this honey pot of a mobile game called Nikke or Nikki. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, and I'm
Who
not there
cares?
yet. Who
Uh-huh.
cares? Who cares? It's Nikke. It's on the Google Play Store as well as the Apple Store. Shout
Uh-huh.
outs to them. And it's a game where you can only hire or recruit women into your team. You get 5 of them. They all have guns and they're shooting giant robots. But the best part is that they all turn around and you see like an ass shot and it just jiggles every time they shoot their guns. And
I've heard of this.
it came out 9 months ago.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
think I
it's ranking pretty high. And okay, I initially went in there for the memes, right? I don't care about none of that PNG stuff, like, ooh, they got like big cleavage. But
I like how you cleared your throat after that.
I had to take a swallow. Oh god. Uh, but it's actually a fun game. I don't know what it is.
I
It's
think
like going into Raid Shadow Legends, right? You're like, oh, this is gonna be a great meme, and then you get into the game and you're like, this is great. Like, oh, this is I'm pulling. Like next thing you know, you're homeless on the side of the road, and you're like, oh, but I got the Doom Knight. Like it
just
doesn't matter anymore. Like
on
logic goes
the
out the window.
you hit me with the alley oop. If you guys didn't know, I had a sponsor stream for Raid where I played the game on stream, and listen, like people can say what they want. I genuinely enjoyed that. Like I woke up this morning and I was playing Raid, and
No.
my wife was just like, I was joking because she was like, "Can you change like the Zen's diaper?" And I was like, "Can you do it?" Because it's technically her shift, but like it was my like the morning diapers my job,
Yeah.
and but we the baby slept a little bit longer, and there's like night diapers and stuff like that. And then I was like, sorry, babe, I'm busy working. And like, I was joking, but I showed her the screen and it was Raid. And my wife just like, was because like it prior, I was joking with the sponsored stream where I was like, I had to prepare for it. And it's like, like at the end of the day, streaming isn't like people want to say that it's easy to do, right? It is taxing. I'm not going to be one of those people that say like, oh, like I'm oh my god, the worst thing of my day was streaming. Like I would much rather go to a 9 to 5, right? Like 'cause some people are more what's it called, disconnected in the reality of that, where the meme is like they're saying that, and then the moment like, oh, I don't need this money, I could quit today and stop streaming. And then it's like, yeah, but like unless like sure, let them work a real job, and then like, and then we'll see where they stand, because like that is the reality. Like growing up, I worked a lot of different things through my family, and hey, I'm grateful for what I'm doing right now and where I'm at right now, even though this is just like the start. And it was funny because like I was going to the stream, and there was like I had to look through these contracts, I had to like make sure all the stuff was like approved, and at the end of the day, it was the premises around me playing a game for an hour. So I was memeing my wife, was like, oh, I can't do this or that going into it, like I had to set up this thing, oh, I have to hit this certain like level in the game, so like the game was like my job. And then when I got to the stream, like I enjoyed There's like an auto mode. It was fun, cool,
Yeah, that's how it
whatever.
is, man. Like these games, they
Um,
get you.
and then like the thing that they really wanted me to do was to react to the promotional material, and then they have a new animated series, and I'm sitting there like, wait, this is good. Like this is actually good. Like everybody in the chat was surprised, because like we all watch manga or read manga and anime, and we've seen a bunch of anime that like Seven Deadly Sins, just the most famous example. Just go slideshow mode, right? We talked about Promise Neverland, slideshow at the end. They'd slideshowed, but like that was the most expensive part of the thing. Everyone was just like, wait, this is sick.
These slideshows are crazy.
And then they also had like a hidden like word in the background they have to find, and once you do that, you get a bunch of free stuff, which is cool. But like going back to this game that you're talking about, right? I remember seeing promo for this night,
Oh,
like in the timeline, and I remember like some creators that I know, like not sponsored, having to cover it, and then like being like, wait, this game looks good. And then, but then
High
we like
quality,
realize the
man.
premise is just, you know, boobas and booties, you know, like booty shots and stuff like that. And I think like low key, the thing that I go back to is Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact, you know, they have a similar thing where it's like it's basically like a gacha game. You pay money. It's like a pay to win kind of thing. And the premise is like most of the people that I know that play it that aren't like their job isn't streaming or covering stuff, and they're not doing tax write-offs for game and content. They're mostly women. Mostly women that I know that in real life that play Genshin Impact. And the thing is, it makes sense because like most of the characters are women, and then the guys in the story in the game that you can play are basically like they're like 40-year-old 30-year-old dudes that look like 10 and whatever, and but they like they make it like this ambiguous design character that's like, oh my god, he's so beautiful, and it's like whatever, right? And then I memed because I had no idea not what this game is. I obviously heard about it when these people brought it up to me. I'm like, you know that this game is made by a dude, right? Like it has to be made by a dude. There's no shot a girl made this. And then it came out that it's literally like it's like one dude and like three dudes on a team, and they made this entire game. And it was, and like
it's
like
because
it's
we
not
know
even
what's up, Par. That's
yeah,
why.
and like the girl that I told this to, I was like, you know, I'm right? And then she looked it up for me, and she's like, she's right. Like, and then I'm like, you're paying this guy to steal your money to make these like obviously like targeted designs to like steal.
If I have to put money in and give it to some guy to get Beach Goddess Mary, then I'm gonna do it, Par. You're not gonna stop me.
At the end of the day, right? Like, as long as you're being pulled in for the right reasons, right? If the game is fun, you know, I'm also like you, where I played some very questionable games, and then I've had to sit back like, guys, it's not what you think. It's not. I actually enjoyed this thing, you know, and then like those few times I brought my wife into it to and then she gave me the benefit of the doubt. She's like, yeah, I know Par, right? Of this back when we were, you know, dating, or
surely my husband won't do this.
Yeah, and then she's like, wait, this is actually kind of fun, and I'm like, see, I'm not crazy, right? Like,
hey, at least you can play those games out in public. I can't play Nikki out in public, bro. Like, let me tell you.
I don't know what the game's like. How do you spell it? Do you know?
Nikke. There's also a very famous ad for this game that's out there. I don't know if we can pull it up right now, but
Love Nikki Dress Up, is that it?
No, that's not it.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's called Nikki Goddess of Victory.
Goddess of Victory. Okay.
And there's also an ad from Thailand, and they are very shameless because they know who they're marketing to. The ad has like this like bigger dude on a couch, no girlfriends, no riz whatsoever, and he pops on this game and he watches the women shake their butts, and I think at one point he reaches down to his pants. And then he has like a wet dream, and then all three of those girls come to life as like actual like people who are cosplaying them, and they turn around with their guns and start shaking their butts towards him. It's the most shameless promo advertisement I've ever seen in my life. Like, they know who they're marketing to. They know what they're doing. And it's like, yeah, but I don't want to be associated with that guy on the couch, but let me tell you, it's a fun game. I gotta pull the waifus, you know?
Got it. I see this game. The visual, the block letter, that I definitely have seen that promo somewhere, like on a Twitch ad or something. Like, that's interesting. So
watch out, it's gonna be the next One Piece in terms of lore and world building. The character development is surprisingly there. I will admit, I was very shocked to see how much character development every single person has.
I was just about to say that, where it's like the separation. Oftentimes when you get a game like this, a gacha game that on the surface is very clickbaity, I guess, is
predatory.
Yeah, that was the first word I was gonna go with. But like, yeah, like a game like that, but then it actually unironically gets a larger game player base. It's usually because they took like an extra month to plan out like the characters, the story, because that's at the end of the day, Like that's all you really need, right? Like
Yeah.
that is like what people will stay for. The novelty wears off very quick, and if you tie novelty to like something core, then you're doing it right. And that's what I
And
was talking about before, right?
bro,
Like
let me tell you, they're doing another good thing too. They're bringing in the collabs. You know, have you watched Chainsaw Man?
yes.
Makima and Power in the game.
Oh, sign me up, baby.
Exactly, but they were event
Oh.
exclusive. You can't pull them anymore.
What?
I'm sure they're gonna come back. We're gonna have the 1 year anniversary in like a couple of months, and man, I'd be damned if they didn't come back.
Imagine.
Oh yeah, Himino
when
was in there
Chainsaw-
too.
Himeno?
Yeah,
Who's-
the
is
girl
that
with the
the-
eye patch that died.
Oh, gotcha. Damn, that's crazy. That like, because I would imagine when a Chainsaw Man comes back, they come back with the thing, and that's smart. That's smart business. The only thing is like how much. Like, imagine this game made so much money that they were able to pay back Chainsaw Man in terms of incorporating themselves in the intro, for example, right? Like there's like some nod, like a character that never shows up in the thing but is in the game, right? There's a price tag on
Manga
anything.
exclusive characters. Oh man,
Yeah,
This
or
game would
like
go
opening.
crazy.
Because remember the Chainsaw Man opening was like one of the people's favorite. They power scaled that to one of the best openings because of how detailed it was. Hey, like you could easily insert one random character for what less than 5 seconds. If they pushed out millions for that, that would be Hey, I'm not in the negotiation table, but I'm gonna tell you right now. My negotiation teacher told me that I was one of his best students, and a lot of people would say that. And hey, Nikki, if you need someone to hash out some deals for you, I'm the man.
I will
I'm the
play
man with
this
the
game
plan.
on stream. Sponsor me, please. I'll do it for gems. Just give me Blanc.
You're
God
telling
damn it,
me
give me Blanc.
You're telling me I can low effort have a easy thumbnail that just gets eyes on?
This clickbait.
Yeah, what do you mean? Hit me up, Nikki. There's
Yeah,
more I could do for you than you
The
realize.
game devs are watching this over there in Japan. Please hit us up.
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
do anything. We'll do anything.
Yeah, we'll put hashtag the episode hashtags on this video. We'll talk about a bunch of other things. Exclusively Nikki play Nikki stream.
Nikki Hot Summer, Mary Beach Goddess, just all that
give
stuff.
Me character names.
There we go.
Oh my god, yeah. Like the episode, the shirt merch for this episode will just be butt cheeks, 50-50. Boom, we got that shit.
It's
oh my god,
beautiful.
Yeah. Tell us if you'd
Oh,
buy that
man.
shirt, butt cheeks and
So
50-50 right now.
besides Nikki, the other thing I've been doing this past week is I've been watching a lot of true crime. I'm a
Okay.
huge fan of it. I love true crime documentaries, even cop shows and just sitcoms of cops and stuff like that. I really
Yeah.
enjoy crime. And I think
Yeah.
that's because I don't know, like as a kid I always just loved watching that kind of stuff. So now I'm just getting into like real life shit like I just
I'm the same
watched
way.
Unbelievable, which I don't know if you know what show that is.
Nope.
It's based on a serial rapist, and he went around. I think he hit up like 30 different women.
We gotta say grape. We gotta say grape.
Yeah. I was about to say like I don't know what to put there, but it's wild because he found out a way how to get away with it for a minute, and that's just by bouncing around different districts, because he realized that police agencies don't like cooperate.
It's set in our real world.
Yes, it's set in the real world.
Yeah, 100%. That's exact. You just gotta cross state lines. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's literally it.
But now there's like a better database because of him though. Because of him now there's like a huge database, and like obviously he's not like if you were to do it nowadays he wouldn't get away.
yeah.
But he set a precedent, which was kind of interesting. And there's another one which this is another real case too. It's called When They See Us.
Okay. Wait, so
It's about-
on real quick, just
up?
this series is real crimes, true crimes,
But it's like role played essentially.
and it's in what's the right anthologies, right? Like so each episode is a different crime.
Not this one. No. This one is
Okay.
all based on this one case.
Okay, all right, interesting.
So I watched that one recently, and then I also watched When They See Us, which is another real one about like these
okay.
those teenagers that got accused of graping somebody just because they're black and they were in the area. So that was another one that I just finished watching, and now I'm watching a lighthearted one called The Rookie with Nathan Fillion playing a good old cop, and I love that one.
Hey, that what you just said, like that's a recently a thing got overturned, where this girl, sorry to detract, is just it
Oh, yeah,
very
no.
like this. It was on topic for what we talked about last time, like the capital punishment, right? This dude, and I think I found about this afterwards, where this girl got assaulted, abused. You guys can figure out the details, fill in the blanks, and someone was accused. There was a suspect, and the suspect was black. The girl, when she was a kid, said it wasn't him. She was not allowed to testify. All the adults in her life and in the situation automatically accused him. None of the adults were present. None of the adults were even there. They just pointed fingers at him. And then when it came to the trial, again, she was not allowed to testify. The guy, I don't think, was allowed to like give proper defense because
wait, when was this?
this is like it got overturned recently. So I think this is early 2000s. So the reason why I think the guy wasn't allowed to like properly be there because the girl was supposed to be there, and it was some kind of like thing where like, you know, you wouldn't have the person in the same, even though we've had contrary details, but like I guess whatever state it is. So might be flubbing this up, but at the end of the day, as an adult, once she became an adult, her own person, she went out of her way. Like the moment she could like write, she wrote letters every day asking for this trial to be overturned. She sent it to the police department, to the judge, to the jail. She like it became her life mission to get this guy exonerated. And I think it was like 20 years later, they finally were looked at the case again. They didn't look at the case at all. They completely, as an adult, just did not look at this guy had been, he wasn't even there. He wasn't even there. This girl has been defending some guy who she might not even know. But she felt like it was her life mission to defend him. And the court, nobody wanted to look at it. And all they did was reopen the case. And immediately they found evidence that just made no sense for it to be him. But prior to that, they just went word of mouth. 3 adults, her parents, whatever, black guy, perfect. That was it. All they did was like look at it again. They opened up the file and were like, wait, this guy couldn't have done it. And that's just crazy to me, right? Because it's like, that's a modern day thing. This guy was accused on the list. That can't be, I don't even know if that gets overturned. Like, does it matter? Because he was on the list. So we have records, right? Like, so it's like, that's like such a garbage situation where it's like, yeah, we need more eyes on like, that type of situation and make it like this is prevalent. It's not like a one-off story. This is not always. That's wrong.
I'm gonna hit you with a hot take.
Okay, hot take.
I think racism is bad.
It's a hot take in the States. Like, it's crazy. It's so crazy. Oh man, real quick, another crazy story in line of graping, which was recently in Germany. A 20-year-old, 19-year-old, I believe, 21, 19, whatever. They're on a tour thing, right? They get pushed off of a cliff by a dude, right? And it's the girl. One dies on site. The other one also falls off. I think it's either a 600 foot or 625 or 125 foot drop. I think it's 625. One dies, the other one gets airlifted and lives. So we do have eyewitness, all that stuff. And they are claiming that there seems to be, like, I don't know if she's like fully conscious yet, but like they claim to be that this is like a sexual assault case, right? Like the guy was like, whatever. The tour people that they were a group in, said that there was some argument and then they left and whatever. And then now this is the fallout, right? And the reports were just like they kind of framed it as like, oh, these 2 American girls in Germany got pushed off by a man there. And they did not play out any of the details that this guy was associated with them, because off of the reports, you'd think it's a German guy. It was an American dude. And so like everyone in the comments is like, it's an American guy. It's an American guy. That's important. Not like normally I wouldn't be on their side of like, but the thing is like the reports almost made it want you to think that it was a German guy. And it's like, this is like an American thing. Like, we go out and do the most dastardly shit wherever it is. And it's like, even in a foreign country, like, how are you pushing people off a ravine and then like leaving them to die, right? Like, you didn't even commit the act, apparently. And like, you still just left them to die. Like, that's
Well,
just
it's like
crazy.
a casual activity, right? Like, don't you do that on like every other Tuesday or something?
Apparently in America, like, a hot take, hot take,
take.
but it shouldn't
Hey,
be.
you're stealing my phrase. No.
It shouldn't be. Like, the fact that racism and the other two notions are so intrinsically tied to our nation is just like appalling, you know. But
There's another American. Oh god. Not to be like anti-American for a second because it's another topic, but there's this one streamer that is American who traveled to Japan, and his one goal is to be a menace over there.
is it Japan? Please don't say it's Japan.
Japan, yeah.
No, he's doing it in Japan.
Yeah, he's doing it in Japan. He's a kick streamer who's being paid monthly by the platform, and his entire content is harassing people in Japan in public.
I hate. I
It's
don't,
like it's a sponsored stream. I think that's so wild.
this guy could save children on this.
He doesn't,
as a
trust me, he
side
doesn't.
hobby. Yeah, and like, listen, normally I give more people benefit of the doubt, but that is something I hate. Like, I actually hate when people like
Go to another country and be
intentionally mess with. It's not. I don't even care about the image. Like, America has done that other, like, through other ways, but it's like going there to another culture and like being annoying is this obnoxious, right? It's a separate thing if it's like, if I'm brown and I go to a brown country and I'm being an asshole, because it's like, you know, but like, just you being another culture and going to another culture, that could make international news. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even this American stuff in Germany, right? That's international headlines just because of the American-German relations. And it's not even that big of a deal. But just because it's tied to that, now you get an Indian dude going to Japan. I'm not, whatever ethnicity this guy is. And now it's like, people don't realize how big of a deal it is that, like, yeah, like, race and ethnicity isn't that thing. But it's like, you're just disrespecting. You're just disrespecting cultures for content. That is like, no, like, again, like I talked about it last week.
He's Somalian.
Is it? No, it's not Gideon. Gideon's not Somalian. Is
No,
it the
no,
other
no.
guy?
You probably won't know him, but he's Somalian.
Okay, because Gideon is one of those dudes who just, like, he says he's something in one video and then he's like, you don't know if he's memeing or not, but he also collabs with he's been collabing with a bunch of questionable streamers. And I say questionable because I'm pretty sure half of them are banned off of Twitch or YouTube, and I imagine they're on Kick. And I'm trying to figure out if I've seen their face or not in like, whether it was Moist Critical covering it or Hassan or whatever. Damn, I hate that. And the thing is, like, and the thing is, like again, like, this is a sadder thing, but like the African community, the Black community internationally, especially in like, racism is bad in Europe and all that stuff, and it's in your face about it. But the reason why racism in Asian countries is really bad is largely because it's like an ignorance standpoint. They didn't have Black people in Japan. So like, this guy, whoever he is, this is going to be a lot of people's first interaction with a Black person. Like, I'm not even joking. There's literally
He gets in a fight almost every stream. Like, so he harasses people to the point where you have random people attacking him during, like, Japanese people just attacking him. There was one I saw the other day where, like, he was just walking down a street and then some dude just puts him in a chokehold and throws him on the floor and runs away. And the context is that he was over here, like, talking about, like, the bombings in Japan, like, on a train and stuff. I was like, oh, damn. That's wild.
See, that's some shit, right? Like, let's say the US was more defensive against foreigners, right? Like, in the sense of, like this is a complete hypothetical, but we do know that the cartels in Mexico will do this, where if you have a foreign passport and you run into the cartel, we have this year, last year, and the year before, multiple stories of if you are foreign, the cartels are not supposed to mess with you. And so much so that the cartel will kill you if you interact with if you kidnap or hurt a foreign person in the cartel business, because they just don't want to deal with international laws, right? They don't want to deal with international spotlight. They don't want to deal with the DEA in the US finally having to clamp down on their activities, because that's what that would do. If it's in Mexico, if it's Mexican people, they can handle that. They pay off the government. That is something there, right? And I'm going to throw out a hypothetical. And it's not necessarily the case, because we've seen counter, especially like recent with like Asian stuff. But you go to like hardcore like gang places here. If you don't speak English and you are surface level foreign, and the gang activity that you are interacting with isn't like petty theft, because petty theft is indiscriminate. They just go after whatever because it's petty, right? They don't care. If you have money, if you have a watch, whatever. But like the actual gang stuff where they have like territories, they'll see somebody, a foreign person, they won't necessarily interact with them. They'll be like, all right, this dude's clearly not from here. They're not trying to disrespect us, right? And the reason why I say that is because that's where like Yakuza, hey, Yakuza, hey, all I'm saying, I'm not pushing, I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is like, that's where the Yakuza would step in.
They've been a menace for so long already. I feel like it's an anomaly. So apparently, like, they've been arrested multiple times and like they've gotten multiple fines and just nothing's ever happened. So at some point, you know, I'm not even blaming him just being an asshole. I mean, it's also like the police should have done something a long time ago.
Yeah, but the police can't. Like let whatever a nationality this guy has, Japan, like they can't stir up things like that, right? Depending on where this like guy's passport is from or wherever he claims he says he's from.
They've lived in Japan for years. I think they're like actually citizens.
That's interesting because and then if they are citizens in Yakuza, like, yo, that's exactly that's their bread and butter right there. You know what I mean? Like, there's been a few Yakuza documentaries where ex-members have gone on the thing and explained what they're there for and how they interact with it. This is kind of, you know, anything that's a nuisance to like daily life is kind of where the Yakuza would fit in. They, you know, wherever their territory is, they're just meant there to keep the status quo. If their status quo is a little like muscly, you know, then it's a little muscly. But they have territory. So I would imagine this guy's not going, because I saw this guy interview, and I forget if it was a Yakuza member or as a politician. And they were basically saying, don't go to this place. If you're a foreigner, don't go here. Don't. And this is because it's Yakuza territory. And that was crazy to me because I was like, damn, even foreigners. And like, I'd imagine like, hey, maybe this guy is doing the due diligence of going to like docile touristy places because they lived in Japan. They know Japan. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I was kind of wondering how, like, maybe they're dodging the Yakuza, because you can apparently, according to a few of these documentaries, like there's places where they operate and there's places that they don't, and as long as you steer clear and you're knowledgeable and you're respectful, they normally won't go after you, right? But like then you have someone like this where is disrespect, like, because Yakuza are nationalistic, right? Like they care about the Japanese reputation, right? Like their reputation, Japanese reputation, like it's kind of like at the end of the day, like a lot of people think that they're cool, like they have games after them, right? Like
they got mini games, good games.
Yeah, and a lot of people love those games. So like I would imagine that they would clamp down on this. Again, I'm not endorsing violence. Not endorsing violence. I'm just saying that
I'm endorsing violence. Moral of the story, don't be an asshole. It doesn't matter what country you're from, just don't be an asshole.
Yeah, like the only people you can be an asshole to are like the people who opt in, which are your friends, your close friends, your wife, your husband, you know, like,
just beat your wife down every now and then. Me and Par advise we do it all the time.
I didn't say I said I didn't
you have to like dial back it so hard.
You threw in there's no point of being an asshole and then beating someone up. Like that's not tied in together.
Fair enough.
Was this guy beating people up?
No,
I
no,
thought
but
he
he
was getting beat
instigates
up.
fights and he chases. Actually, yeah, I wouldn't say he beats people up, but he chases them down.
How are you gonna chase a Japanese? That's just messed up, bro.
It's like Tom and Jerry, where like he would chase people down a road, and then and then they would like run away because they don't want to like confront or like fight. You know what I mean? And then sometimes you'll have like vigilantes who like step in and try to fight for them. It's so
Batman.
wild.
We need Batman. How do you feel about Batman?
We need Batman, or we just need somebody to actually just not give him a slap on the wrist. It's like YouTube pranksters. They'll like do like the most absurd things known to mankind, and then
No,
the
but that's-
police will be like, yeah, you know what? Like, here's $100 fine, whatever.
That's the thing about Batman, right? Because the funniest thing about Batman, I love Batman. I love Dark Knight. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna meme on him real hard, real quick. All right. Joker never dies. That's the obvious meme. But the secondary meme to that is like he literally kills all the fodder people. Like if you are a normal guy just trying to provide food to your family, and he knows that. He knows this, that these people that he's beating up to bloody death, like they're coming out crippled with.
They all survive, Par. They're all still alive.
Crippled, but they're crippled. They don't have arms. They got a few batarangs to the chest, to the liver. They may have to get organ transplant after what Batman did to them. And at the end of the day, he sits back and he knows who these people are. He's Batman, and he's like, oh man, like he knows everyone's origin story. You can't tell me that he's like, when he goes into a crime scene, when he cracks his knuckle, he's like, oh, little Bob here needs food for Betty and Susie. And then he's just like, put that extra pump into him. And then he sees Joker and he's like,
can't hurt
Joker.
this guy. My moral compass is turning around here.
You might have killed my parents or whatever, whoever did it in whichever story, right?
Whatever timeline this is.
Yeah, and then you get him like beating down the common man, where he knows that Gotham is so corrupt that people have no choice but to turn to crime in order to fund. And he's a multi-billionaire where he has enough power to actually fund.
He's
these
trying
people.
his best, Par.
And
He's trying his best.
Like, some timelines make it that he's so rich and so powerful that he has like a monopoly. Essentially, he's the one man Illuminati over like the richest people in Gotham, and he's still like, there's no way I can solve the crime by doing the actual work politically and whatever.
No,
it'll never go.
He has a lot of charities. It's like he tries, He just puts 90% of the brain into crime fighting.
Yeah, but when is he there operating the charities? When is he there putting his brain power there? He's literally sitting in a cave at a computer, and he's like, this guy, this common man who resorted to robbery,
Actually,
and he doesn't even know the bigger
I would
plan.
argue that what Batman is doing is even better, because it's deterring crime. Like, why would anybody want to become a criminal and fight Batman? He's building up the notoriety just for that.
Because they need food. No, see, I'm gonna combat you. What crazy person in Gotham that knows Batman exists continues to be in? If you don't have superpowers, if you like this man is friends with Superman,
like he's the best deterrent.
No, but the thing is, there are still those criminals. So you gotta ask yourself, if you know that Batman exists and you don't have superpowers, you should be deterred from being a criminal, because you should know you can't fight Batman.
So he's just beating up the mentally ill now.
We still have, he's beating up poor, he's beating up mentally ill, and he's not funding Arkham, right? Like,
hey, kudos to Batman. He's living my dream.
Yo, Batman is such a fun, because like Batman was like one of the, like, I think like universally favorited characters of all time. And then like comics, cool, at the time when he was released, maybe it made more sense, but then you start thinking about it a little bit more. You start like evolving, maturing, and you're like, Batman is a little weird. Batman might be the one who needs to go to Arkham, like.
No, I look at Batman. I was always a fan of Batman as a kid, but as I grew up, I was like, man, he needs to just kill some of these people.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. I'm like, the Joker should have died. All the supervillains, he should have just straight up killed most of them.
I forget which
That's where I'm
iteration
at.
this was.
Like,
but
some of these dudes don't. There's no redemption arc there, man.
I remember Alfred always being like, "Are you sure, sir?" Like something like that, right? Like some of those times I'm thinking like Alfred's like, yo, when do I call CPS or something?
Would you
like,
would
the
you kill
things
the
he's doing
Joker
to
if you had a
Robin-
chance?
Yeah. What do you mean? That dude,
Exactly.
like he tried to rehabilitate. He tried everything. Like if Joker existed, that's why Joker's the reason capital punishment. Like last episode, take what I said about capital punishment. You need like without a doubt, like unanimous. Like you can't tell me like unless Batman apparently is on the panel. It's gonna be unanimous. Kill Joker. Like Batman is gonna be the only vote. Bruce Wayne is gonna be sit there. Nah, we gotta. But the thing is, here's this thing. Make it a unanimous vote. This isn't logical, right? This isn't logical. This wouldn't work, right? You'd need to make it an anonymous, unanimous vote so you could protect people's things. But do this to Bruce Wayne. Make him unanimously vote to Joker, like on a peer, put him on the thing. Would he be the only person backing Joker? No. Could he justify anything? No, the moment he opens his mouth, everyone's going to look at him and be like, yo, I think we found the criminal. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Wait, this guy wants
this
to save
guy
the
is
Joker?
worse. Yeah, you're telling me the most powerful man in our city wants to save Joker? Well, now we figured out what's wrong with our city. Like,
Yeah,
at the
no,
end of
it,
the day-
it never made any sense to me. That's why I was a big fan of Jason Todd, because he just go around killing criminals. I'm like, oh, there we go.
Jason Todd was the second Robin or first Robin?
He was the. Now I'm gonna butcher this. I think he was the second Robin.
Yeah, I think he was the second, because the first one was like the assassin kid.
Yeah, it
The
was Dick,
assassin. Yeah, he was the
or the Acrobats kid, right?
Yeah, the one
Yeah.
that was like, but he was from the League of Assassins, right? Or was that
no,
the third one?
League of Assassins is Damian Wayne, and that's like
the
his
third
son.
one.
Yeah, third or fourth,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that.
All I know is that hey, Alfred encouraged way too much. He let the Joker live. He watched the Joker torment the kids, but on top of that, he enabled Batman to do whatever
Dude.
the hell to these kids. And I'm like, yo, that's a little bit of an issue.
Like, I would feel so goofy as Batman, like arresting a supervillain, because you could look at the statistic. I think there's 100% rate of every supervillain he imprisons breaking out like a year later. Like, at some point, you just have to say, you know what, enough is enough. I think we just need to start getting rid of them. Like, you put Joker, like Dr. Freeze, Killer Croc, you put them in prison, they're just gonna escape like next Tuesday and kill more people. Like, what's the point? Like, all of these dudes always escape, and logically it doesn't make sense. In a comic it does, but I just think it's always kind of funny. What's up?
It does not make sense. I'm gonna hit you with this. All right. I might be wrong in the scope of all the verses, because maybe some verses were more financially well grounded, but I remember Bruce Wayne solo funded the Justice League Tower. Like, not the tower. What is it called? The fucking satellite where their base was. He made that. That's him. That's Bruce Wayne. Nobody else did that. That was him.
He's rich.
And like the governments weren't on board. I think that when the governments were on board, they made the thing on the ground, like the Hall of Fame, and they had the thing that shoots you up to that, and like the communication thing. That was, I think, government funded. Like the U.S. made that, and they had like the facilities and the doctors. But the tower, that was Bruce Wayne. And so I'm from memory, Arkham was like this poor ass place that they just lock people up in normal ass cells, and maybe they had like special cuffs, but I don't remember like maybe the game changed it. Maybe there's maybe I'm wrong because I didn't play the games like that. But like I don't remember like scientifically advanced prison when it came to Arkham. So like in terms of they all got freed. I'm thinking like, yo, Batman gave everybody like way like he's making tech for fun, for free, pro bono, hiding it. Like nobody knows that he, apparently Batman is in some context is completely funded by the Bruce Wayne Foundation, and nobody knows how many billions of dollars went into Batman, and nobody knows. He's able to embezzle that much money, and it's like
my hero.
And then he's just like, Arkham. Nah, it's good as it is.
Bricks from a 100-year-old building. Yeah, you know what? They'll still keep Killer Croc.
in a world, yeah, in a world where there's like, I was
Doctor
literally saying
Manhattan, yeah, no big deal.
in a world where there's like literally
Series,
League
but-
of Assassins or League of whatever, where they like poof, they just poof in, poof, and then just slaughter everyone, and he's just like, yeah, bars, cool. We're
Yeah, this
basements.
works.
That's all we needed, you know, like.
Just regular police guys with like a pistol and pepper spray. Yeah, of course, yeah.
And there's
it
gonna
can keep
be-
the Joker in there.
There's gonna be a few people that are like huge Batman fans defending it. I'm just gonna say, I'm going off of memory right now. I remember there was a time where like Joker escaped and Batman showed up surprised. Like he's like, huh? Nani?
How did you get out of here?
Like imagine like the cops like, Batman, I'm so sorry to tell you, like Joker escaped. We don't know how. And then the best detective shows up like, I'm not sure. The Joker's Giga Brain for this one. Like,
How did he do it?
all I know is I'm gonna bring him back and put him behind the same bars again. Like, there's no like the thing is like I'm trying to think of an example of someone breaking out and then their powers and then they were like, oh, because you have electricity now, we made a rubber room, right? Just hypothetical. I know that exists. But like even with the Joker, what are you gonna do? He's just a regular clown dude. He doesn't have powers. And it's like he breaks out and then they what like, oh, we improved the cell for you so you can't break out. Like I don't get it. He's broken out like how many times? Like literally, I think Joker breaks out more times than Batman leaves his cave, and that might be blasphemous, but like honestly, Arkham is his home. Like
That's how it is, man. It's like his headquarters at that point. It's like sending him to the Batcave.
yeah, exactly. It's just like I wouldn't be surprised if the Joker mobile was there. Like he had to have built up there. Like there's a whole. They should make a new iteration of Batman where underneath Arkham is like Joker's like lair, and then he discovers the Batcave, and then he shows Batman his cave, and he's like, "You've been down here in the scraps," and you see Joker's decked out like Joker cave. Oh, that'd be sick.
I like to
and he's
imagine it's just like every time Joker gets sent back there, he's like rubbing his hands like, "Ooh, yes, I get to go back home."
Yo, and then Arkham gets so much money, and then the lore of it is like, haven't you ever wondered why Arkham's so dirt poor? It's because I've been siphoning off all the money. Didn't you notice? Like, it's just this, like in your face thing. Like, huh? That did make sense. I was fun. Like the Bruce Wayne Foundation was giving a lot of money here. I was wondering where I just thought corruption. I didn't think you were doing shit like that. And it's like, cool, whatever, you know.
That's how it is.
But I going back to what you're saying, like I was similar with the crime thing. My side of the crime thing is I like trying not like the heinous stuff, but like I like the brainy stuff, but more so like it was kind of like I've had this thing, and I actually brought it up in the last call, but I've been advised by now 3 people that I should never share this on a public place. But and then I told you like, hey, if I was ever an evil person, this world would be completely different. And this idea that I had, I told it to these other people, and they're like, please don't ever share that. That is so scary. And the reason I asked them like, why is this so scary? And it's like, I told them, or they told me, is because like, you don't even need to be smart for this. Like, but it, like what you said makes 100% sense. And I was like, yeah, that's the gray area with this idea. It's that super smart people would never do this, and super dumb people wouldn't be able to figure it out. But in order to do this, you'd have to be really dumb to want to do this, or you'd have to be on your last leg. And that's why I was saying, like, if I was truly evil, damn. And then I think all my friends looked at me very differently, and I asked them, I was like, hey, if this ever happens in the real world, I trust you, so that like don't report me, because like, you know me, come on. And they're like, yeah, but like I'm gonna come here and ask personally if I ever see this. And I'm like, come on, like, and I was gonna say like, maybe I say it on the podcast and it'll be serve as defense, so that like what crazy person would tell their plan out publicly.
Exactly.
And then they're like, yeah, see, you understand. And then they were like, yeah, but like, they were like, or you could just not, and then no one would suspect you. And then I was like, and then I thought about that, like, and I didn't say this much more, but I was like, you know what? That's probably why villains always share their plans in the stories and like in all the fictional stories. They just have to like go out and say everything.
They just gotta let it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, low key, I would do that. I would do that. But I would only do that once it's like foolproof.
Yeah. Have like a villain monologue right when like they can't stop it anymore.
Yeah. But like going back, like the crime thing, like to me, it's like the like people who commit heinous crimes often think that they're the smartest people in the world. And that's like that's their usual downfall, where they come up with like a plan and a scheme and they're like, oh, this is foolproof. And then you sit back from like a sane standpoint, you're like, you kind of, this is simple, right? And like there's a lot of dumb criminals, but then there's smart criminals who gotten away and all that stuff. And I just feel like there's like a superiority complex behind a lot of the smart criminals, that all they need to be shown is that like there's good people who are really smart, that like maybe you would look at the world differently if you met them in your life, right? Like maybe you just need to meet them. And like the loneliness thing, right? Like it goes back to that a little bit, where it's kind of like I would imagine, and this actually goes back to my idea, the plan that I cannot share. I think the main reason that a smart person would do this is if they were like super lonely, and they like so lonely that they lost, like they felt the loss of it. And it goes back to the loneliness thing. Like you'd have to be truly alone to do some of these crazier things. But that's why like the crime stuff is super interesting. The motives, what people do, how people think of themselves. You can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from and that's where like the copycat stuff comes in. People think that they're copycatting, and then you find out, like, I think this is a real thing, where the police consult the real person and about the copycat, and then the real person's like, that's gross. That whoever's doing this is disgusting.
Yeah, that's how it is. I watched a couple of like documentaries, and usually the real killers are like, yeah, not a big fan of the copycat.
Yeah, they're doing
I'll help you catch them.
They're sloppy. They're doing the wrong. The innocent people. At least I targeted people I knew were right, but they're too dumb to figure out who the target. And it's like whatever measurement they use for their criminal activities. I think, like you said, I'm pretty sure there's more than enough documentation of people like that where they consulted them and they're like, nasty. If I was in the real world, they would be my target. Like I was like, damn, that's crazy. But you know, like that. Yeah, crime is interesting thematic that we're seeing more and more.
Hey, thankfully though, serial killers don't really last nowadays anymore.
Yeah, because all you need is someone to look. Hey, no, I don't want to go back to the racism thing, but this is two sides of the coin. There's a joke, and then there's the reality. There's a joke that is rooted in reality, which is, why are all serial killers white? The moment a black person even looks at a crime scene, they're suspected. And this is not my joke. Whether it's Dave Chappelle or whoever famous, whatever, Kevin Hart, that's the reason why a black person has not been a serial killer. It's because they are accused without even having a crime, right? Whereas the white people in the city, you could be at the crime, the people could be pointing fingers, and you still get the benefit of the doubt. You still get treated like a human being. Like you could, like we talked about this one, for example, like kids or young adults can be caught manslaughter, like vehicle running over people, and then they'd be like, oh, I'm rich.
Interesting.
And then
I'm looking at the statistic. 82% of serial killers are white, and then 15% are black, and then 2.5 are Hispanic, which I'm assuming the 0.5 are like natives and Asians.
And then also look at if you look at the historical thing, I think there was like a certain year where there was like, oh, we have a female serial killer, we have a black serial, and it was like this weird milestone that people are like, oh my god, they're here. And because prior to that, it was usually white males, to the point where like it was almost like a revelation that like forensic people had to have, like, oh, we have a serial killer in our hand. And like after so many years of documentation, they were like, finally, like, we have to narrow it down to white males. But they didn't do that for a long time. And then the reason why that's important is because then they started looking at like the 70 or 80-year-olds that were exonerated because they didn't suspect them, but they were at the crime. They were connected to all the people. They didn't even hide it in sometimes. And then you're just like, oh yep, this guy was the most horrific serial killer, and he's brazen about it. He's proud of it too. He's just sitting at his vacation home wondering when he's gonna be taken. And I think like when he was taken, he's like, finally, I've been waiting. Like, what do you mean? The economy's shit. I'm trying to get paid food, paid life, all that stuff. Cause not, I'm on a criminal podcast, TikTok, not TikTok podcast, TikTok. And you hear some various
TikTok
stories.
podcast, TikTok.
Yeah.
One of those.
Like it's a podcast. I think it's primarily on TikTok, but they get clipped up as TikToks. And I don't know if there's a full episodes. I don't know where they are, but yeah, like hey, there's a thing with the serial killer and the racism, and then on the flip side, right? Like I forget what the flip side was. Maybe I put all the flip side into the same argument, but yeah, like the whole crime sphere right now is interesting, and it goes back to like, hey, you can't be caught anymore, or not. You're gonna be caught now, but at the same time, we talked about it. It's like we almost gave those, like, I'm not gonna say this like verbatim, but like I'd go out on a limb and say some of these pranksters in an alternate timeline, they're like one step away from criminal activity. Like one step away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the difference between
I mean,
some of these guys
I'd
do,
argue and say that most of them already are in criminal activity, but
yeah, whether it's I know we had a discussion in the comments too of people like, yeah, most people look at the prank videos, automatically assume all of them are staged. That's the premise that they go into it. That's the premise you need to go into it to enjoy it. But the thing is, like, I don't want to enjoy some of these things. Like I don't want to. And like some of the times, hey, again, Oscar winning actors and actresses, sure. But sometimes they're just not staged, and those people just don't have the brain cells for it. And you look at those people and you think about it real quick. Yeah, they're doing criminal activity, and you can say like, yeah, the people who staged it are absolved of it. But like I'd argue like, yo, they're basically planning out crimes. Like they're that close to it. They're planning out crimes, and it's just staged. And it's like, yeah, there's a gray area there for entertainment. But like, what if YouTube, what if like content creation got clamped down? What if like you couldn't monetize the way you could? These wouldn't exist. Where would those people be? Right? Like, hey, we have this guy who's going to Japan for the sole reason, sponsored by his platform, to harass an entire nation. Like that should be criminal. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I mean, in the States, you'd be shot, right? Like if you were doing that to various groups, they'd get shot. And like, hey, like I'm not necessarily the biggest advocate for gun things or whatever, but like self-defense and that kind of thing, I am an advocate for it. And it's like this guy, yeah, he doesn't deserve to die, but like he shouldn't be just let loose. Like there should be some kind of ramification. And then the fact that a corporation is backing it, that's crazy to me. That's crazy.
It's kind of funny
that can exist. Yeah.
Wild times.
Yeah, there was a theory. I wanted to segue it into like the criminal thing, because it is kind of criminal. The biggest criminals, they sometimes get masqueraded as police. Do you know? I gave you a riddle. The criminals of a place. We've talked about it before.
Are you talking about sharks?
No. They sometimes get mistaken for police. Does that help you? Because sharks don't necessarily look like police cars.
Oh, are you talking about whales?
Killer whales, yeah. The criminals of the ocean that also look like the cops. You'd be misled, but maybe.
It's just because we talked about sharks earlier. I was like, he's gonna bring sharks in at some point.
Yeah. So I had so if you guys don't know, my educational channel has been jump started. I don't know how frequent I can do it, but I'm using it to like stave off burnout from like One Piece content. So like whenever I want to make other content and like I slow down on my main channel, you'll probably see me on my other channel posting like random science-y, educational, history, political, whatever. Just random facts that are interesting. and that's on my new channel, Parviz On. And there's been a lot of. Have you been scrolling on TikTok recently?
Not really. Why? What's up? Is there a trend going around?
It's a weird trend, but it's similar to what we were talking about last episode of all the shark related, like people jumping off cruise ships, the guy being eaten. Oh, did we talk about the guy being eaten by a shark?
No.
The Egypt guy, the Russian guy that got eaten alive. Oh, we didn't talk about that story.
No.
That one's a really sad one. Like that one is sad. Like, last time we were talking about, like, I want to clarify, like, we at the beginning and the end, like, we're not saying, like, good riddance. Like, that's not what we're saying when, like, life is sacred. Like, it's always a
Sometimes
tragedy
it's
when
good
you lose
riddance.
life.
That's Par's opinion, not mine.
And like, people can be young and dumb and all that stuff. It's still sad. The moral of some of these stories is, like, it's not that deep. But then there's, like, some stories where it's like, it's just kind of like, I don't blame the person necessarily. They shouldn't have done that. It's a super sad thing, but then you're tied to the humanity of it. And I think this story was, like, one of the ones that pulled people back a little bit, where it was like this Russian guy went to Egypt on vacation with his dad and his girlfriend. They went swimming in this, like, bay. I don't know if there was, like, a lot of signs that said it. Maybe there were, but I think there were other people swimming there. Him and his girlfriend were there. His girlfriend separated from him because she apparently heard warnings from people on the bay saying, like, shark, shark, shark. And she saw the shark, I guess. I don't know if she visually saw it or she just had a sixth sense. So she separated from the boyfriend and she started swimming towards the shore. And I don't know the context because we don't have a lot of the details, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming she assumed her boyfriend also heard, knew, and also was just, like, going there. Because, like, when it comes to swimming, if you're not the best swimmer, also, it's like, it's hard to keep track of other people. Even like lifeguards have said that too, right? It's saving another life is very difficult, but then also keeping tabs while you're swimming for your life. It's a difficult thing to do unless you're, like, a very good swimmer. But then again, these guys are swimming in the ocean. There's tides, there's animals. So girlfriend makes it out. The boyfriend does not. He's kind of, like, oblivious to this. And there's a giant, it looked like a giant. I think it was a tiger shark that just thought he was food. And tiger sharks and bull sharks, I think, are the ones that are mainly, like they're known to, like, eat people more often than not. And that it goes off to their nature, but it also, I think it's more or less like they gravitate towards places where it's like everything is in their diet, like they don't necessarily they don't go places where they don't eat things, whereas, like, even great white sharks, we've got new details that say that if you're swimming in California, anywhere on the coast, basically 100% are swimming within, like, 50 feet of a great white shark. Whether that shark is big or small, juvenile or not, you are swimming next to a shark. But what they found is that 98% of the time, the sharks you never know that you're swimming next to them. The swimmers never know. The sharks know, and they steer clear. The other 2%, they know and they leave. And there's, like, a small, super small, infinitesimally small fraction of attacks, brushes, of things like that. And that's with the great white sharks on the coast of California. This is done by Caltech, I believe. And so this tiger shark, though, starts eating him. My wife showed it to me, and she was, like, super sad because of what happens at the end. And, me being knowledgeable about sharks and the way from the video, this is just my instinct. I could tell from the first movement that the guy was dead, because you can kind of understand, like based off of a shark's movement, if they meant to bite something, and if they were just, like, testing, like if they just nom on a surfboard, they kind of just they don't like what's it called? when they go for like a bite like that to test something, they don't like telegraph it. Whereas when they telegraph it, that means they're going for the kill. That means it's donezo. That means it's wraps, because when they go to bite, they can't see anything. They protrude their jaws, all that stuff. They go in, then they whip around, they go in again. They're in kill mode. And the first bite, you can tell this guy was wraps because of how big the shark was. There was no fighting it. You can't fight sharks unless like they're not in kill mode. And the guy, because the way the shark went in, it wasn't, I don't think tiger sharks are the ones that drag you down. They kind of whiplash you. They thrash around, right? So the guy is on the surface calling for his dad, like the whole attack, and it's audible, and it's like the most tragic thing that you can see of that. And that's why my wife brought it, and I was like, yeah, that's like rough. And I was like, they're gonna look at sharks poorly in this light now. But I told her prior to this, I told her everything that would happen, and then this is exactly what happened, where they were gonna capture it for science reasons. They're gonna figure it out. People are gonna be upset that they killed the shark, but they need to. It almost has nothing to do with the fact that he actually killed a human, but it's because they need to figure out like why the shark did that. They need to figure out if there's a behavioral reason. They need to be knowledgeable if they need to change the laws around there. And then I told my wife there's probably another reason why the shark did that, why this shark is even here, because it was by the shore. This is a huge tiger shark. Yeah, tiger sharks are there, but it's not that it's abnormal. We don't necessarily know the place. And I think a few biologist people try to look into it, marine biologists, but what they found out was that this bay was surrounded by restaurants, and the restaurants would dump their food into the bay. And so that's why the sharks were there, right? Because like they would get the food from these restaurants. So what they're assuming is that this shark just assumed anything in this bay is just scraps, like edible, like, you know what I mean? Things that I'll eat. When normally we've even seen videos of tiger sharks realize that they're hitting a human and then they just walk out, right? But that's why they need to test this thing out. And so like, that was a recent thing with the shark stuff. And so the reason I brought that up is because I know a bunch of people that are on TikTok that are saying their entire feeds are just sharks. They're not even shark people. They're not even sea people. It's just shark.
Shark talk is coming back, I see.
It's not even Shark Week.
Yeah.
And I being a content creator, I was like, you know what? Sharks are my favorite animal. I know a lot about sharks. I've always wanted to make this educational platform. So I was like, hey, it's an algorithm. Might as well do it. And
you're gonna hop on the shark trend.
Yeah, and so the TikTok, new account, fresh, whatever. TikTok and YouTube, because they're monetized platforms, it requires momentum. YouTube did well. Instagram, in a day, got like 20K on a new fresh account. It's pretty dope. But it was basically explaining that, did you know? This is why sharks are my favorite animals. Did you know that sharks are technically one of the most toxic creatures like known to mankind?
No, I did not know that.
Do you know why? Great white sharks specifically.
No. Hit me with the fact.
So the reason why I'm saying this is because, and by toxic I mean like poisonous, like you can't eat them necessarily.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's important is because people are gonna be like, oh, Par, they're not apex predators. Apex predators is people are like on the Instagram post, people are like, this guy doesn't know about orcas. He forgot about killer whales. Killer whales are apex predators. It's like the term apex predators is a contextual value thing. It makes no sense not to regard a great white shark as not an apex predator of whatever environment they're in, because they also can eat killer whales. They just don't, because it's not worth their time. But can they? Yeah. If killer whales decide to hunt in packs like some killer whales do, or great white sharks hunted in packs, then yeah, they could probably take down killer whales like killer whales hunt other larger creatures. But the reason why they're toxic is because apex predators in the ocean succumb to this issue of heavy metal toxicity, which is a huge thing that is natural to the oceans. Heavy metals come from the Earth's crust, so shellfish typically have a lot of heavy metals. But as you go up the food chain, the fish accumulate heavy metals because they consistently eat below them, right? So as they eat more, they accumulate it, And as you get to more of the carnivore apex predator, you get to a point where you aren't eating enough or spacing out your meals to expel the heavy metals. So we've known, like, tuna and salmon, they have like mercury levels. Like, that's been a warning before, and it's not like at a point where it's super dangerous, but we've had warnings in the past. And the reason why sharks are I'm gonna say a stat that, or not a stat, a claim that they've been saying, is that because sharks eat everything, and they do, and they eat frequently, is they accumulate so much heavy metal toxin that the levels that they're at is fatal for any other species. Any other species, if they had the same level of toxicity, it'd be insta death. And so that basically tells you, like, the same way where we can get heavy metal like there's actually an event in Japan. I think it is the Minamata incident or whatever, where, like, I think 2,000 people just died instantly from a batch of shellfish because they had like a high levels of mercury. They just died. They didn't know why immediately, but then they just rolled over like the next day. And so these sharks, great white sharks, specifically mercury and arsenic, has so much in there that they expect that they would have neurological defects and immunological a compromised immune system. That's how I was supposed to say it, right? And the thing is, they got a bunch of sharks and they found out that none of them are affected from any regard. They're like, wait, how do they have these levels but they're not affected? And that goes to why sharks are my favorite animal. It's because they are like older than dinosaurs. They are like the creature that adapted to the world in so many ways, evolved so many ways, and apparently the scientists are theorizing that there's sharks, great white sharks specifically, have a natural defense against heavy metals in their blood. So they have some way to manage it and mitigate it, and they're not sure what. But I think I might have figured out I might have figured out what, and which would support one of the prevalent theories and why it makes sense. And the reason why it makes sense is because you remember a story we were talking about earlier? Killer whales were targeting sharks, right? And I misrepresented that story a little bit, saying that this is a recent thing. Apparently this isn't always, this has been a long time. Like since 1950, they've documented that orcas would go after shark livers specifically, not the rest of the shark, and shark carcasses would show up liverless. And it's just been more frequent recently. And what I realized is it might, and so like the prevailing thought is that the killer whales are doing this because the liver is easy to eat, it's super nutritious, and the rest of the body is tough as the cartilage, the meat, whatever. But the thing is, the way whales and the killer whales specifically eat, they peel back the skin too, and they go at the meat, they go at all that stuff. So I don't know why they wouldn't go after the shark meat, right? But that's where you tie the two together. The next short that's going to come out is explaining that what if killer whales, because I realized something, wait, people were saying like, oh, Parr's stupid because killer whales are the real apex predators, right? And the thing is, wait, killer whales will falter to the same issue great whales would if they're the really apex predators. They're at the top of the food chain, so they should suffer from the same heavy metal toxicity that great white sharks do, but they don't. They have high levels of metals, right? That's still there, but it's not to the point where it's like the fatal stuff that they're talking about great white sharks, which means that the killer whales are dodging it somehow. And if they're eating the livers of sharks, that's the clue. It might be that the killer whales were so smart enough to figure out, and it doesn't even require brain cells, to realize that the liver was the only place that wasn't like super charged with heavy metals. And that is one of the theories that they have, because what you have to realize is our livers detoxify our blood. Even in our bodies, our livers are what results in metabolizing heavy metals. So if we get exposed to heavy metals, our liver expels it. Our liver deals with it. Your liver won't normally accumulate that. If it does, then you're probably going to die soon, because then your liver's compromised. Shark livers are a third of their body. It's actually huge. And so that might, so that goes back now to what the prevailing theory about why sharks can survive, that great white sharks, is because they have massive livers that two different biologists have come to the understanding that they might be able to metabolize heavy metals to a greater degree, but they didn't tie it together, which is that shark livers being so big might be able to metabolize the heavy liver. But the other theory is that there's something that makes it so that the heavy metals don't stay in the blood and it moves to the muscle tissues. And so now we know what, if that's the case, that would explain why killer whales aren't eating shark muscle, because then they would suffer from the heavy metal that the great white sharks are suffering. And they're basically using great white sharks as a way to cleanse heavy metals. They're using the great white sharks to accumulate all of the feed underneath, right? If you ate what the shark ate, you would get heavy metal. But if you ate a shark liver, you wouldn't. Theoretically, at least you'd get a blunted version. And so that is the theory, where it's like, that explains why killer whales, being as smart as they are, they might have been able to figure out that, like, yo, this part tastes bad, this part makes me feel off, but the liver, that part is fine. And it's way more natural to think that an animal is choosing their food based off of how it affects them, and them realizing after a process of elimination, like, yo, it's not worth eating the skin. It's not worth eating the tissue. I feel bad. I'm dying early. Let's stick with the liver. And boom, longevity's acquired through that. And shark liver is actually a huge commodity for humans too. So that was something I wanted to share, because it's like, yo, like, it's crazy. Killer whales, crime. I wanted to tie that back to the crime thing, because we were talking about the marine biologists. They were treating this like a criminal. They were not treating killer whales like criminals. If you really sat down and thought about what motives killer whales would have for this entire situation, you would very quickly get to this line of logic. And hey, I'm gonna go out of there. My idea is just a theory, but they only have theories at the moment. They don't have an answer for why they're attacking the livers, and this has been since 1950. They only have theories still. They don't know what's causing the sharks to survive the toxicity, and now you loop together, you connect the dots, and it makes sense. You give why killer whales are targeting the livers, and then you explain that is probably the reason why sharks are surviving this toxicity that would basically kill every other living creature, and you tie it to the creature that is tied to the only living thing that has evolved more than any other living thing, right? And survived our world, survived and evolved. That is the shark. And welcome. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. I wanted to put this in the crime 50/50 episode, and I just wanted to put it out there. People think that I theorize about One Piece, but nah. We're entering. I've already been in the other realm, but I'm re-entering the other realm. I'm re-entering it.
You're gonna be a prominent shark YouTuber once One Piece is over.
It's not gonna just be sharks. It's not gonna be sharks. My doctors wanted me to post some of my ideas out loud, and I was just like, wait, but I'm not a doctor. I don't have medical credentials. Yeah, but they were like, yeah, but that makes sense. What you said makes sense. And I was like, they're like, because when they told them, I remember I explained this. I told all my doctors, some of them wanted me to go to med school. And then one, like, later on when we got to know each other, I'm like, so what do you do? And I was like, hey, YouTube. And then they're like, oh my God. And then they're like, you should post about these things. And I'm like, I do anime content. And they're like, oh my God. And so, hey, maybe one day you guys will know me for something way different than just One Piece. But what I will say is, no matter what happens in life, I will always be a lobotomy boy here with Sai on the 50/50 podcast. Yeah.
We started with boobs, we brought it to sharks. What's next?
Yeah, we brought it to boob, crime, loneliness. Don't forget the loneliness.
We didn't bring it back to loneliness, but you know what? The shark was lonely. Fair enough.
Oh, there's the loneliest whale. Oh, this one's so sad, but we don't have to talk about that. But there was something else I was gonna bring up. It was like a short thing that. Man, wait, what were we talking about before? The boobs, the criminals, the whales,
crime, Batman.
Not Batman. No, it's something current. What were we just talking about? Oh, lobotomy. Oh my
Were we
god.
talking about lobotomy?
No, no, we're the lobotomy boys. They're
Oh,
always lobotomy. What do you
fair
mean?
enough, fair enough,
What?
fair enough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We don't need a reason to be talking about lobotomies. I was explaining your my stance. I was kind of marketing our podcast, explaining how we're like, we're like taking the mantle of the lobotomy boys, but also trying to diffuse like this history that gets like staved over about what lobotomies were used for, with like dealing with like women, because women were regarded as crazy. And like you go back, like even the Kennedys, right? Like, and I think you brought up, and we saw like some women were asking for it because they thought that that was a medical treatment. I saw a story. I might need to do like a theory on this for like the One Piece channel, where this lady, she just had seizures, and she became a teacher, and it was very quick, and so she became a teacher, and then she had like an outburst, something like a not a violent outburst, but I guess like in line with her period, I guess, like just out there. And so they admitted her into therapy first, and then full on psychiatric like facility, whatever, and she was apparently fine. Only when her dad and her brother showed up is when she had like outbursts. And I sat there, I was like, damn, just why are we putting the onus on the, that just means that her dad and her brother probably were crazy. What do you mean? Or abusive or wild. The fact that like she got admitted and she was fine, and then these guys are like, oh no, she's crazy. Oh man. It's like, if that's the only reason, then that means that they're the problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you or
They're like
I
doing something to her.
yeah, like if you or I were like just normal, and then you brought the same group of people to us and we don't like them, and then we acted out, it's like, are we the issue, or like the people that we don't like are the issue, right? Like it's kind of wild that that was the scope. And so I guess because the dad and the brother kept on visiting, they determined that she needed to be lobotomized. They gave her insulin treatment, which again, back in the day, that's their medical knowledge, that she's not diabetic, but let's give her insulin. And then they shocked her brain, electric ECT or whatever. Didn't work, which, hey, shocker. And it never really worked. It still doesn't really work most times. I think there's like maybe one case in all of like medical history where maybe it worked. Maybe it worked like 2 times. But yeah,
It was probably
again,
just
shocker.
coincidence.
Yeah, shocker that it didn't work. So they're like, you know what? Last resort, we need to lobotomize her. Right. And so while she's in this facility, she writes a book. So imagine like this crazy person. They're writing this book and they're like, oh man, I'm so excited for this story. And then the people taking care of her, oh, she's late. Susie's losing it again. And then the
She's
dad
too
and
crazy.
brother's like, oh my God, she hit me. Oh my gosh, she acted out. She defended herself, like some shit like that, right? I'm painting it in how I want it because we didn't get too much information, right? So she's set up for the lobotomy, right? It's scheduled. A week before, it gets canceled. Why?
Because it turned out that she was perfectly sane.
How did they determine that?
Um,
I gave you a
Ooh.
detail. I gave the listeners a detail in there. I threw in something in there.
I was gonna say that maybe the brother and dad died, but I don't think that's it. I think that's too
Nah.
extreme.
Nah, they probably still wanted her to be lobotomized. Nah,
What
I threw
happened
in a
then?
detail. Viewers, if you did figure it out, kudos to you. She won an international acclaimed award for her book a week before she got lobotomized, or was scheduled to it. And so they sat back and they're like, wait, she's a genius. And then
We can't lobotomize her.
and I'm like, so that's what she needs to like claim her sanity, is that she needs to win an international. That's a high ass bar. You know how many people win that award? Like one. Like how many people get that? Like how many other people in
Hey,
line
watch
with her?
out. Everybody's getting the New York bestseller title though. That's an
like-
easy one.
Like I'm surprised she didn't come out with a book like How I Escaped My Lobotomy. Like that, it's just crazy. Like imagine how many other women in the same shoes wrongfully scheduled for lobotomy. They're not award-winning book writers, but like, you know, like it's crazy. It's so crazy. So you know what? I said this to my friend. I'm proud to be a lobotomy boy with you, Sai.
Oh,
And
thank you.
Yeah. And hey, if
Maybe one day we can get the lobotomy reversed though.
lobotomy.
Imagine after episode 100, we add lore to like the lobotomy boys.
We
Like we become the reverse lobotomy or something.
Yeah, like we read a story. Well, I was thinking like the 50-50. It's like we cut the brain in half. It's like 50. It's lobotomized, like same thing. And it's like at the end, like the episode
The
100.
true meaning
Maybe
of the lobotomy.
that's when we're not lobotomized. It's that'll be 100/0, right? Or 1 because 50 divided by 50. But jokes aside, we never came up with a name for our viewers. Do we call them the 50/50s or? And the viewers might be, oh no, I know where Par's going with this. Do you guys want to become the lobotomized or the lobomatic? The
Lobomatic sounds good. That's like an Xbox gamer tag. Nah.
The lobot, because I don't want to do
The
lobotomy boys, because if we have like female viewers, I don't want to like traumatize them, right? Oh, but
Well, they would not be traumatized by that. No way. It's just a word.
I don't know. Maybe as men, lobotomies aren't as, but women were oppressed through lobotomies. This is a factual thing.
Hey, you guys can call me any Asian slur you want. That's fine by me. This is a safe
why
space.
was that related? I was asking what we call our viewers, and you're like, call me slurs, guys.
Hey, it's fine by me. I don't care.
We'll think of a name, but if you guys like
The lobotomized isn't bad. Oh, what do you think about the mascot idea?
The mascot idea? Oh, I'm for it. Oh, I there was a lot of things in the last week that pulled me away. But the mascot idea is kind of sick. You want to say it so that people?
Yeah, you guys.
But the scope, like, I like the elements. Maybe we have to shift around where the elements are.
Yeah.
So explain it, and then I'll say it.
So we were thinking about changing up the logo or the icon, and we were thinking about doing a cat in a shark costume.
Yeah,
because I'm a fan of cats and Par's a fan of sharks, as you could tell. Or we could do something with like the head of a cat and then the body of a shark, which I think would just be really weird and goofy. But either way, I think it works.
And then like there's like a line down at the chops it in half, and we could like interact with that split. That's where I wanted to talk about. But like in terms of the costume, I like the idea it's just like a hoodie, like a shark hoodie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like I don't know, the word costume is kind of weird, but I like hoodie. I like shark hoodie.
It could be shark hoodie.
Yeah. Also, one day, as one of the merch, we're gonna get shark hoodies. I love shark like hoodies.
This episode, I feel like you've really revealed yourself as a shark enthusiast.
It's funny that because like that's what most people will think, right? Like I feel like Larry, he saw my short and he's like, finally Par's really where he loves. He's talking about what he really wants. And then like my wife sees it like, but when are you gonna talk about this and this and this? Because she knows like where I'm. The way I was in this shark conversation is how I am with anything, literally anything. And that's just how it got applied to like One Piece, where it's like One Piece is like me using like 10% of like my effort, and it just like I have the benefit of time. And then when it became a content creator, I use a little bit more effort. But there's been a lot of things in my life that was like literally life or death, where like I had to use more of my brain, and then I stumbled upon things that like my doctor was like, yeah, that makes sense, that probably did help. We can't like verify that with all these things, but like considering the logic you used and the thing, that's a solid ass theory. And that's literally what they said. That's a solid ass theory. And I'm like, thank you. And then they asked other doctors, and I actually had to say it to my my primary care had doctors shadowing at his practice. And I remember after my surgery, he wanted me to tell them so this is after my surgery, after my diagnosis, after all that. He wanted them to see like my scar, which a lot of people don't realize. I have a scar that runs like from here all the way to the side, like all the way across my neck. But my surgeon is really good, so it disappears really well. And I was kind of sad about that. I was like, damn it, I needed a good surgeon, but he was too good. Like his stitching is like literally, that was the first thing my doctor noticed, my primary care. He's like, did God stitch you up? Like that's what he said. He was like, what the hell is this? And so he wanted to bring his the residents or whatever, the shadow people and residents in. But he also wanted me to explain how I diagnosed it. And they were like, wait, so you went off of this, this, and this, and that's how you got to this? And I was like, yeah, I did process elimination, and there was some instincts behind it. And at the end of the day, it's not like I went batshit crazy, because I still asked my doctors to verify my theory. Like, I didn't just run with it and do my own thing. Like, I was like, all right, this is a theory, and it could just be a par theory, but like, let me go ask a few doctors about it. And then they're like, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And then, so then he had me tell that to his students or whatever. And so like my doctors do know me as a theorist. And so as far as the shark lore things, that's just the tip of the iceberg, baby. We got
the
more.
tip of the shark nose.
Yeah. Let me tell you, if you see the tip of a shark fin, there's a shark underneath, and he's got quite the bite.
Yeah, believe it or not, if you see a body part that's correlated to a shark, the rest of the shark is probably there.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
And if you're in the water and splashing, just know that there's probably a bite coming. That's a good theory.
Or just know that there's always a shark near you in the ocean, and that the chances of them attacking you are statistically very low.
That's true. That's also a vendetta that I have to get out. That's like, I'm deathly terrified of this ocean. It's not because just sharks, but my wife literally told random people this weekend, like, she'll never get into an ocean water with me, and it's because she's terrified that I'll attract sharks just by existing. And like, that's a batshit crazy thing, but she's known me, and we've been in bodies of water, and plenty of animals come and bite me and bite her. And she's like, I've been in lakes, in oceans, and I've never been bitten by a fish until I was with you. And I was like, I'm not even doing anything.
That's a compliment. That's a compliment.
Yeah. The moment I get in there, whales came. Fish came.
That could be like a part of your like superhero line. Just like, are you ready to be fish food?
Ooh.
Yeah, something like that.
I need a tagline.
Yeah, exactly. It's your
wait,
motto. We should open the
what's
podcast
yours?
with little lines, like one-liners.
Yeah. What yours like? Time for you guys to change my litter box. Is that yours? 'Cause it's like,
I was gonna say, I was gonna either correlate it to a true crime or my cum sock.
I think that's the equivalent of like, you guys are gonna have to change my like, you know what I mean? Because that's like your
change my
excretions.
litter. No, but yours is fish food, and that doesn't correlate to sharks. That correlates to like
eaten. Like,
no. But that's cool though. I need mine to be kind of cool. Like, are you guys ready to jizz in a sock? Like, I need mine to be dope. You know what I mean?
When you said I need mine to be cool, and then like, I thought we were in the line of like, mine is shark, food, fish, ocean. Yours is gonna be cat. No, jizz in a sock. That's it.
Are you guys ready to come?
Oh no.
Just something like that, right?
That's hilarious because I wrote. You know, like, sometimes when you're like, you have like, you're typing something and someone said something and you accidentally type it. I was gonna change the topic to like taglines, and I wrote cum.
That's the only word that made it. Not even tagline.
And oh my god, it's funny because
that's what I'm talking about.
In the One Piece stuff, like, I have the Knockup stream, I have Milky Way streams, and now I have Post Nut Clarity members exclusive. Which, hey, if you guys aren't a member,
for some reason it gets more and more sexual. We don't even want it to. It's just the way of life, really.
And then you've always been like, oh god, I love Par, but like, he's got to change these names. And then we come here and you're like, here's my cum guy.
Hey, this is different from One Piece. It's very PG-13. Sometimes I'll like let out one or two words and people are like, oh my god, Sai's going up the deep end. But it's like, you don't know me. You don't know me in the personal life. It's wild. Hey,
I'm using One Piece terms. That's my caveat. Yeah. The Post Nut Clarity is a little bit different, but that's members only.
My thing is that it's here on the 50/50 only. And even then, it's like very, very, very tame.
Oh god.
Like, if anybody thinks what I'm saying right now is like ludicrous, it's just like, come on. You should see the Twitch streams.
Yeah, you should see the Twitch streams, but I will go out and say that I don't think you've ever said my tag, like, never on Twitch did you say, I'm gonna open up the episode with what did you even say? You said time for the cum guy. Like, what did that was crazy.
It's time to come in some socks or something like that.
No, that's not even what you said, but that's better. That's at least
it sounds better. The logistics are there. We can still get sponsored.
Yeah, we can still get sponsored. We'll just say it's like, like
Imagine we
comes
get
just a-
sponsored by a sock company.
No, we need to. We should do
That'd be
like
kind of cool. I
tube
like socks. I need more. I
And
need
then,
more
like,
socks.
At the beginning of the episodes, we just have our foot in the and just do
Like the iCarly Dan Schneider thing. Just put our feet
Oh,
at the camera and just
no,
start wiggling the
stop!
toes.
We have to not deep dive, but we have to explain that on one of these episodes one day.
I think the next
Because-
episode we'll do a deep dive on feet.
The reason why I say that is because that is something we mutually know, and like, not that we bring it up in conversation often, but it's an inside joke that we like.
Yeah,
can
me and Par
use-
meet up every other day and talk about feet and Dan Schneider. You guys know it.
What I
You
was gonna
guys
say
love
is,
to
like,
see it.
Like, we can't just do that on the thing. Whereas normally, if we would just breeze by it, say the inside joke, get back on topic. But on this, like, we can't just like out of context just say that and then like move by it. And it's like, wait, what about Nickelodeon feet and iCarly now? What?
See, I think that's a perfect tease for the next episode. And with that being said, I think this is the perfect time to end it. And I got a one-liner to end it on.
Oh no.
So if we start the call with one-liners, right? Like next week we'll both come up with one. If I started up with like, let's come in socks, imagine by the end of this, I could say the sock has dried.
I feel like everyone listening just shivered a little bit. Just shivered a little bit.
Well,
They
with
might have
that being
unsubbed.
With that
They
being
might have-
said, guys, the sock has been dried. Stay tuned next week for when the sands moisten.
What? Okay, fair. Crusty feet, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't
something
know.
like that.
Yeah. Oh, maybe you know what I have heard real quick at
What's
the
up?
end. You just cut it off here.